Hello and welcome to the June social briefing. If you're watching this, then this is me implementing Plan B. At the time that the event is scheduled for, I'm due to be in London. It's due to be a heat wave. Not sure how the Wi-Fi is going to be where I am, so I've pre-recorded. So if I'm playing this, welcome anyway. Please do stick with it, and hopefully I will be in the live chat with you as it plays out. If you've joined me before or if you're new, here's how the session is going to go. And if we haven't met, my name is Luan Wise. I'm a marketing consultant. I have spent many years diving into the world of social media, being both a researcher, hands-on, supporting clients, delivering training on this topic as well. You can go and find me on LinkedIn if we're not connected already. You may be watching the recording or accessing the recording. A link to the slides I will place in the chat and the notes as well. So you're very welcome to have a copy of these and share them with your team. I'm going to share some industry insights. I love looking around for industry reports and updates. So I've got three, as always, to share with you that I thought you would find useful, interesting and relevant. Then we will look at some of the platform updates, what has been changing across LinkedIn, Meta, Threads and Instagram. And this time I decided that I would put all the AI changes together because we're seeing similar items across the platforms and it's just useful to have them in one place. If you want to check out the news behind the If you want to check out the news behind the headlines, the topics that maybe I'm not covering today, because I'm not going to cover every single one that we read about, but I do check the news every day. I check all the newsrooms, all the top news websites, curate them, put them together, put them into categories, and you can always access those on my website. Latest news, free resources, dive in. So the industry insights that I've got for you today, I'm going to talk through Metrical's latest Instagram study, some stats on that. These are the links so that you can go and access the information if you want to see them for yourself in full detail. Some research from Reddit and also hot off the press, restrictions for under 16s. What's happening and what does that mean? So let's start right there. Last week, Keir Starmer announced, following consultation that has been happening over the last few months, that a ban for under 16s is likely to come into force in spring 2027. So this has been under consultation. We know that many other countries have been implementing this over the last 12 months or so, starting in Australia, some other countries as well. What does this mean? Well, for under 16s, it will include what they're calling user-to-user platforms. So what's worth bearing in mind is that this isn't about specific platform bans. This is about banning use of platforms because of the features that they have. So this is features about social interaction, content that is posted on the platform that under 16s can access, and how it is served to them, such as the kind of algorithmic recommendations versus the selected following. So at the moment, that will include Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and X in the UK. This is always open to change as things happen and for the platforms to respond to the requirements of the criteria that the ban will involve. It will also include some platforms that have functions such as live streaming, so that is not accessible, and also where there is communication available with strangers, for example, on gaming platforms. At the moment, the discussions and the conversation, it will not include YouTube for kids. It won't include WhatsApp, Signal. It's also not had any mentions about LinkedIn. So this is very much something to watch. If you're a parent of under 16s, you may have views on this. We are watching this. This session is designed for those using social media at work. Will it impact you? Well, we know it's been difficult to reach and target under 18s for a long time, particularly with advertising criteria. There will be impacts long term. What does this mean for our future audiences, for our conversations. Maybe you do have under 16s as part of your audience. A great article from the BBC a couple of days ago, how the social media ban could reshape how all of us use the internet. Remember, if this is about features of the platforms rather than specifically the platforms, they may make adjustments so that they can keep their users, they can keep their audience base, which will impact all of us. So it is happening. It is something to watch. There will be lots of news about it over the following months, and I will bring you what I can. Reddit. Have increasingly talked about Reddit over recent sessions, and some new research from Reddit in conjunction with WPP has been looking at the gap between influence and decision making. Now, if you're not so familiar with Reddit, it's a great kind of conversation forum. It has gathered momentum because of its role in AI citations, and also because it's deemed authentic. People are having real conversations there. So the research has uncovered that people who are looking for real human signals to reinforce what they've discovered elsewhere, maybe a Google search, maybe a social media search, they're then turning to Reddit to ask for more information, to look for validation, look for testimonials, look for pros and cons. Community discussions are key to making a decision. And what's important here, the research has found that Reddit doesn't replace other channels, but it's supporting them. We know that people use more than one platform, more than one tool for search, for discovery, for buying. So Reddit is now very much part of that mix. The stats from the report, a couple of them I'll read out on the right. 62% of Redditors say a discussion thread debating pros and cons gives them confidence in a product. 72% of Redditors are going to the platform actively seeking information. So if this isn't a platform that you've engaged with, set up, had a look around, I would encourage you to start doing this. It is increasingly becoming part of the mix. Remember, you don't need to be actively posting to be on a platform. You can use it for research purposes, for social media listening, and if you do want to know more, particularly if you're working B2B, I'm delighted to share that we do have Reddit as part of the November Social Day Forum happening in Shoreditch, a full day event hosted by myself and Andy Lambert. I'll put the details in the chat. Reddit are coming along to talk to us specifically about the platform and how it applies and can be useful in B2B. Instagram. Now, Metrical do some really brilliant reports, some reports that take loads and loads of data from their users, from across social media. They're analysing and going deep on the platforms. And their latest report, I've shared other reports by them from before, is about Instagram, and some validation here, some support of things that we've said in the past, but wanted to share these stats with you. And yes, if you've just joined, I will be sharing the slides. Format is more than a creative choice. What we have to see now about Instagram is that it's made up of lots of different elements, and we need to consider them as individual items in our planning. Posts in the feed, reels, carousels, each one has a different role, has a different presentation in front of audience, and this is a really important mix, because if you're looking at stats, you should also be looking at those individual elements in terms of your stats as well. They have different roles and get different results. Here, reels and carousels are both strong for visibility, but they work differently. The algorithm pushes reels to new audiences, expanding reach. Carousels get reserved to users who didn't engage the first time, which means they have more than one chance to get seen. If you're using Instagram, have a look at the different formats, the role in your plan, your content mix, and measure them separately as well. Have different goals in mind for your different formats. Really key. And if you're looking for the answer, Instagram have shared it. Metrical have shared it about Instagram. When in doubt, swipe it out. Carousels are the leading format at the moment, not just on Instagram, they're working well across other platforms, particularly LinkedIn as well. Carousels are outperforming single image posts across every single metric. And what I like about this chart on the right here is that they have looked at every single metric available on Instagram for both carousels and single image. And we can see that carousels are outperforming on reach, on likes, on comments and shares, saved, views, engagement. But people are posting less of them. So we should be posting more and looking at this data as well. Maybe it's because the analysis here says kind of we default to a single image, carousels might take more time, but they work. And also remember, if you add music to your carousel, Instagram will count that and treat it as a reel. So this is what we need to be doing. And the last slide from the metrical report from today, but I do urge you to go and have a look, is about calls to action. And it is saying the like button is not liking. If we look at those different measurement options now, comments, saved, sends, likes are kind of like the lowest down. We shouldn't be saying now, like this post. It can be a competition entry mechanic, but really, if you want people to interact with your content, it says here, ask them to. When the caption includes a call to action, such as asking for comments or saves, comments will triple and saves double. Got to tell people what to do. You may assume that they know, and they probably do, but if you just tell them and give them that prompt, it will work. And don't go for the likes, go for the shareability, the saves and the sends to behind the scenes to groups. That's how things have shifted very much on Instagram, but also remember that we see those data and those metrics on other platforms now, including LinkedIn, which I will come on to. So on to the platform specifically, what have they been up to over the last month? Well, quite a lot as always, and AI is consistently featuring in those changes. So I thought it would be useful to have a roundup. At a recent big event in London, Meta announced Business Agent, new AI messaging options for businesses. This is kind of customer service, automation, AI tools to help you manage customer inquiries, DMs in the inbox. And this is across platforms. This is across Messenger, WhatsApp, Instagram, across the whole family of apps. So if that's something that is relevant to your business and your work, could be worth taking a look at. TikTok, I think this is an interesting one. In shopping live streams, and I don't know how much this is happening, but they've put a ban on it. They are banning an AI-generated voices in their live streams. YouTube, also AI features, more prominent AI labels. This is really important. If you're using AI tools, you should be labeling the content as you upload it, whether that is images or whether it's video. Label your content, and YouTube are now making it clearer for users to see when AI has been used. Also adding more tools to the podcast element of YouTube. If you're not aware, YouTube is actually the biggest podcasting distribution platform. So we've got Spotify, we've got Apple. YouTube has greater stats around podcasts as well. So integrating AI recommendations across YouTube. Now, the reason I've put this separate, because the other changes that I'm going to talk about it represents a bit of kind of conflict or a mix in how we're thinking about AI and social media use today. The platforms are adding these features, they're adding these tools, which of course do help us with transparency, efficiency, productivity. However, you will have seen, if anyone's picked up their phone today and scrolled through, no doubt you've seen some backlash around AI-generated content. Maybe you've spotted AI-generated content and it makes you feel a bit not so engaged with it, or you're not connecting with it as much. So it is a challenge. And LinkedIn in particular have said as part of their recent changes that they want to limit the reach of AI-generated content. They are putting restrictions on the reach of content that appears to be generated by AI and lacks clear perspective. This kind of relates to the push, again, across multiple platforms for original content, for authentic content, but we know that there are telltale signs. LinkedIn are building that in and will put limitations on content that is very clearly generated by AI. And they are putting measures in to detect that, and particularly around automated and AI-generated comments. Again, no doubt you will have seen them, maybe on your own posts, maybe on other people's posts. They're very repetitive. They repeat back the post. They ask quite an in-depth question, which isn't really the vibe of LinkedIn, what people, humans, have been doing. So again, they're quite easy to spot. Now, we're not saying don't use AI, and LinkedIn's kind of global editorial VP has said this. She said, when AI is overused, especially at scale and in an automated way, it dilutes the valuable insights that real human conversations that spark. It's okay to use AI to help you write, but your posts and comments need to represent your voice and your perspectives. The ultimate value comes from the human behind the tool. So use AI, but edit it. Edit the language, make sure it's your voice. Take out anything that's really obvious AI language. And particularly, I would add, check it for accessibility. Too many emojis is not good for accessibility. Those users that might be using screen readers, for example. So always edit if you are using the tools. LinkedIn, been doing some more changes. In-app mobile post boosting. So if you have been running ads and seen that you can boost your own content, again, we've been doing this on Meta for years, you can now do that from a mobile. So if you're working on the move from mobile, you will now be able to do that. Previously, Campaign Manager, any ad setup is only on the desktop. They are shifting some of that functionality to the mobile app. Also, in terms of ads, more targeting, more senior level targeting. So being able to go more granular on job titles and functions and levels, which is one of the benefits of LinkedIn in terms of advertising, is that senior, really specific type targeting. So it's good to see that. In terms of personal profiles and activity and content, more visibility around the skills section on your profile. They are kind of building that out so that you can demonstrate your skills. People can search for those skills. These new ones are kind of related and integrated with platforms. For example, if you're a HubSpot user, you will be able to recognize that on your LinkedIn profile. Is that always necessary? I like to think of the skills section as supporting in terms of showing evidence, but it's not the main section. So I think that's an interesting move, maybe connected to learning and partners that they're working with, but it's not essential to worry about today. Are you a GIF user in your comments or in your posts? It's not something that I've ever thought about on LinkedIn or considered that was missing, but they've added it in. More interesting, and ones that I do think are particularly valuable, is we have seen, as I've mentioned, more data, metrics and insights within LinkedIn over recent months, adding in those saves, those sends. Do your posts drive new followers and new connections? Now, very similar to Instagram, we have got data around the impressions of your posts and how many are in network, so your current followers and connections, versus how many are out of network. So how many people are seeing it because it's been surfaced through search, or maybe because it's being shared. I know increasingly people are reporting this internally of, this is how we're engaging with our current audience and relationships. This is how we're building awareness and new opportunities. So interesting that they've kind of added that after Instagram added it a few months ago. And I think the big news, I mentioned this briefly in last month's session around kind of creator events that LinkedIn had announced. they have now announced a creator marketplace. Currently only in the US and Canada, but if you are looking to work with creators on your content, or maybe you're a creator yourself, there is a marketplace, just as we've seen on Meta and TikTok and YouTube. It is coming to B2B. And hot off the press, it was announced in Cannes. If you're not in Cannes and you're watching this, thank you for joining me. They have announced collab posts. So again, very similar to Instagram. This is something worth thinking about. Are you going to do posts with others, such as creators, with your employees? I believe that you will be able to collab between company pages and individuals, and also individual to individual. So that is coming. So we're seeing that LinkedIn is really very much moving towards partnerships, influencers, kind of content as well, which is a shift, but I think they're going to be valuable. Meta. So Meta, again, mentioned AI features. They launched Business Agent. They are adding more tools again for creators. So for those of you that are a creator or working with creators, there is now an assistant chatbot. I kept this one separately for the AI features because I thought it was interesting that this is an assistant within an account, a page where you're getting advice, you're getting consultancy, you're getting feedback about your content within there, like what's top performing, are you aligning with any trends? So we're getting some much more supportive tools in app. Also from Meta over the last few weeks, more ad placement with threads. Don't know if you're scrolling through threads and seeing more ads. That is very much part of the business suite. And they have also quietly launched what they're calling a Reddit-like app. What Meta aren't calling it a Reddit-like app, but the news coverage is called Forum. This is basically a standalone app for groups, which have the Reddit-like nature of peer-to-peer discussions. So they haven't shouted about it. I don't know if you've found it yet. As always, it's rolling out. That could be a shift. We know that groups are a big reason that people keep using Meta, particularly Facebook. They have updated their live stream shopping tools as well. Sometimes we see that the platforms are doing a lot around e-commerce. Sometimes they pull back on it. Maybe this is a preparation for the end of the year, coming up to kind of Black Friday and Christmas shopping. They're introducing them now. Live streaming, one of those features that's going to be limited with the ban. So we may see some testing around those elements as well. And if you're a football fan, you may have noticed some World Cup features across all of the Meta apps. I think there's some extra emojis in WhatsApp, some channels, and conversations and events. Just to mention on Threads, they have now reached 500 million monthly active users. Nearly 3 years since launch, still not in the realms of the 3 billion monthly active users of Facebook and Instagram, but heading up and, very comparable now with X. Launched lots of new features over the last 3 years. There was quite a lot missing when it launched that people were asking for. Their latest one is about community. Community is something that, again, we've been talking about for many years. I think communities are now going to be easier to search. There's a communities hub on Threads. So rather than just kind of coming across them or seeing other people posting into communities, you can now go to the community hub and find a community to join and follow. So a big shift, not surprising, but useful. We know that this is a key role for social media right now. And Instagram. Are these features that we've been waiting for a long time? Are they long overdue? You can now rearrange your profile grid. So if that's something that you've wanted to do, it is now an option. Subscription offerings. Again, this is a move we've seen over recent months. The platform's introducing other ways to monetize that are often related to data, restrictions and controls and elements. We've seen verified accounts for businesses across the platforms. We are now seeing subscription offerings for users. And Instagram Plus, as one of those, is priced at $3.99 US dollars, not rolled out to the UK yet. That includes some additional features around stories and stickers and profile pins. Will anyone pay for these? I don't know, but it is a shift, and again, something to watch in terms of users. How will user behaviors change with these features? A new one for this week is multiple captions for carousels. I really like this one. We've already said how important carousels are. The reason I like multiple captions is going back to my point about accessibility and how key that is. We know now that the platforms are not basing their search on hashtags. It is about keywords in captions that will surface your content, that will help people understand your content. So now we don't need to have a single really long caption around what's in each image in the carousel. We can add them separately. You might be thinking this is more work, but we know how well carousels are performing, so it is worth adding this in sooner rather than later. And if you're creating video content on Instagram, there is now a teleprompter tool. Some of you may like to script in advance and read off teleprompter. They take a while to get used to. It's about the right speed. You may or may not find that useful. Done this in just after half an hour. Thank you for watching. If you missed the very beginning, this was a plan B backup recording because I'm currently in London as this plays out. Wasn't sure on the situation with a heat wave and Wi-Fi. Hopefully I've been in the chat with you, so thank you for listening. Do join me again next month. We'll do the same again. Who knows what feature updates we'll be sharing. The 30th of July. If you want this all in your inbox on a Monday morning, you can subscribe to my weekly emails. And also a reminder, I did mention it briefly, the Social Day B2B Forum on the 11th of November. Early bird pricing ends at the end of July, so I will give you another nudge next month. But we do have Reddit, we do have Metrical, we do have LinkedIn B2B Institute joining us, as well as some others that's really exciting in terms of workshops, discussions, presentations, and networking. So for now, take care, and I'll see you next month.